It is recording now. So, Malka, do you want to say a few words about your involvement with the magazine? You're on mute.
Hi, everyone. My name is Malka Al-Haddad. I am poetry editor, and so glad finally we managed to meet with our writers. It is a wonderful opportunity to see all our writers from across all the world. And I just want to say thanks to everyone who participate in this wonderful project, because this magazine, I think, given something unique and new. For example, this magazine, I think it's broken down the stereotype about refugees and immigrants by showcasing their talent and their abilities and their skills through this wonderful magazine. We have received a lot of pieces of paper from many writers. And for me, I received about 305 poems. And for me, it was quite difficult to reject some poems and choose some of them. But I tried my best to read all poems. Each poem, I read it about 3 and 4 times. And I read all biography, which it looks amazing. Then finally, I managed to make decision to choose around 20 poems to publish print and online, because our lead editor guide us for specific numbers and limited numbers to choose them to publish in this magazine. But finally, we managed to make this wonderful job by your participation and by your wonderful work. And we are all of us proud of what you have done and what you have written. I think this is a great chance for everyone who participate. Why? Because readers all over the world, they are now can read and listen to your voice through this magazine. So thank you for everyone who participate in this wonderful magazine, and we would like to see more writers and more poems, more fiction and non-fiction. And thank you for everyone. Bye.
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, hi, I'm Az, also known as A.M. Dassu, and I'm a writer and a patron of The Other Side of Hope. And I'm delighted to be welcoming you all to our inaugural print magazine launch. This has been the most difficult year for us all collectively in our living history. So much uncertainty on a global scale, sickness and grief, but the beacon has been The Other Side of Hope. Finally, an outlet for refugees, asylum seekers and immigrants. When Alex first told me he'd found this magazine, I almost fell off my chair. Why hadn't anyone thought of this before? It was genius, a place where different lives, diverse experiences, our fears, our dreams could be published. A place where anyone who had to leave another life behind could be platformed, discovered and read. The beautiful thing about this print and online literary magazine is that it is edited by immigrants and refugees too. Hansa Dasgupta, Malka Al-Haddad, Maria Rovisco, Rubina Bala and Olivia Luquet. English is all of their second language. It was founded by my dear friend Alex Kasitis, who is hiding right now, who has worked with and supported refugees for many years, with the sole purpose to serve and celebrate refugee and immigrant communities. And unlike most countries, it was to have no borders. It was open to submissions from all countries. And everyone would be paid for their published work, including asylum seekers. Asylum seekers in the UK are not allowed to have a bank card. So the magazine paid them the same amount in a gift card of their choice. Can you see why I fell off my chair? No one has done anything like this before. For the inaugural issue, we had 600 submissions. So a huge well done to the editors who were so impressed by the writing and had to choose. That was a lot of reading. To help promote and showcase writing from refugee and immigrant communities, we published fiction and poetry by refugees, asylum seekers and immigrants only. And we published non-fiction, book reviews and author interviews by everyone else on matters that shed light on refugee and immigrant life. The Other Side of Hope team published writers from 6 continents, all of them except Antarctica. But you know, if anyone was living there and wanted to submit, we'd have welcomed them too. We have fiction from China, Delhi, Germany, Philadelphia, the US, and more. We have non-fiction from writers of Eastern European heritage, Colombian and Somalian, and more. In the print issue we're launching today, we published 20 writers. The online issue, we published 100 writers. So a huge congratulations to you all. We are so delighted to share your work with the world. The print magazine is available from our website. For those of you who aren't contributors here, or for those who will be watching this video, it's £7. And I'd encourage all of you watching to please buy a copy, because anything we make will go towards the second issue. And if you're watching this and are able to support us financially, or would like to sponsor a future issue or a submission written by a refugee or asylum seeker, then please do get in touch with us via the website. And I just want to say a huge congratulations to all of you watching who submitted to the magazine. This is an achievement in itself. If you aren't willing to put your work out there, you'll never be discovered. I remember submitting to lots of magazines and newspapers, and a lot of the time I wasn't published, but it was a great way of getting practice and improving my writing for an audience. And we do hope that you'll submit again so we can consider your pieces for future issues. So thanks so much for joining us today. Let's change perceptions together by amplifying the voices of refugees and immigrants and sharing their numerous achievements. Let's show what can be achieved when they are given the support to shine. So without further ado, I'm going to now hand you over to our wonderful, supremely talented writers who will be reading from their work. Enjoy the rest of the evening, and do feel free to tweet and share your praise about the readings. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you, Az. So, just before our first speaker, who's Murzban Shroff, I know he's in Mumbai, could I just ask George? George did the design and the cover, and I actually wasn't aware he was going to be here. George, do you want to say hello? Because we don't want to put you on the spot, because you're not allowed, but I thought maybe you wanted to say hello and maybe just a few words about, you know, doing this cover, if there's anything you would like to share with us.
Well, that's very kind of you. Thank you. You're not putting me on the spot. I'm delighted to be here, of course, and it's nice to see all the faces and to hear the, you know, what's gone into the magazine. And of course, it is a transformative thing. You know, it's something that doesn't exist. Congratulations to everyone that's involved, and sincere thanks for asking me to contribute in a small way. As far as the work that I handed in, the cover was actually made at a time when I was creating an exhibition with a group of refugees. It was a very emotional time. It was a time when we navigated quite a difficult landscape of making something together as a group on a weekly basis. And when we became, you know, very close in the process. So the cover was the actual drawing that led to a printed work, and I was really happy that it found a home, because the actual drawing never really got any attention. You know, it was left to one side, but it was a very, for me anyway, a very precious image. I know time is very limited, so that's really all I wanted to say, that it was something that was done from the heart with a group of people that I felt a great affinity with, and I was delighted that it was chosen as the cover, and very humbled by the reception it received. The rest of the images were things that I did specifically for, you know, the dividers in the magazine, and again, it was a great pleasure. You know, as I said when I publicized this work, that sometimes what you love comes into direct contact with the thing that you believe in, and that's what the case was for me in making this work. So thank you very much.
Thank you, George. It was really nice to meet you and put the face to the person behind the cover. Thank you. I would like to welcome now Murzban, Shroff, who I know is in Mumbai. Thank you for joining us. I know it is very late in the night in Mumbai. We are delighted to have you here. So Murzban is the author of Love on the Greyhounds, and we would love to hear from you now.
Right. Thank you, guys. Yes, it's 1:30 a.m. in the morning, but I'm excited seeing our team OSH here. And I want to start this by saying that having published with over 70 literary journals, I can honestly say that The Other Side of Hope, the debut issue, has been an absolute labor of love. My heartiest congratulations. It kind of blew me away, not just in terms of the content and the kind of consistency of quality in the articles, each of which came as a breath of fresh air because, like I said, I published with a lot of journals, and I find off late a lot of sameness creeping into the kind of subjects we cover. But here, every story came like a breath of fresh air. And I'm also blown away by the production values. I mean, it's, you know, when you, the charm of a literary journal is when you hold it and you kind of nurture it, you know. So thank you, guys. It's been really great collaborating with you all. Having said that, I'm going to get into my story. So I'm essentially a fiction writer, but selectively I do write nonfiction, and reserving my more personal pieces for experiences that have been truly life-changing. So Love on the Greyhound is one of those. I was 15, and the whole journey is about a gawky, awkward 15-year-old boy from Mumbai, middle-class boy from Mumbai, a boy of very humble origins, yours truly, who manages to get a trip to the US, and how the USFA, this was in the, it was in the post-60s, 70s, the post-flower culture kind of liberal environment, how that ends up transforming this young boy. And he went looking for sex and adventure and you know, all the sort of adolescent thrills. What he came back was realizing how a country can stand up for its minorities, you know. So it completely expanded his worldview, and it also kind of made him realize at the age of 15 that he had the soul of a writer. I'm going to read the story now. When I was 15, Mom made a deal with me. If I got a first class in my ICSE, she would send me to America, she said, to my aunt and uncle's place in Connecticut. Auntie Silla was my mother's first cousin, but she loved Mom like a sister. She had been an air hostess and would fly to Mumbai regularly and get us stuff that had us, a middle-class family, struggling with all kinds of shortages in India, all excited and grateful. I liked Auntie Silla. She was warm, effusive, and generous, and had a rippling laugh, as though with that laugh, she was emptying out. Strangely, I had never met my Uncle Sam. He had left India as a student and never returned. I was told by my parents that he was something of a genius, a self-made man. He had been to MIT and Harvard and was now a partner in a management consulting firm in New York. He'd done well enough to afford an estate in Connecticut, on which he had built a 14-room mansion. I couldn't even imagine what that would look like, considering that I lived in a modest 3-story building outside a noisy Mumbai bazaar. America those days was the promised land. We imported all our ideas and tastes from there, the jeans, the music, the colognes, the books, all of which was in short supply, a luxury you could say. As a holiday destination, America held the promise of great freedom. The movies and the rock and roll music assured me of that. If I achieved a first class in my board exams, I was to go there for 3 months until college started. That was the deal, and it sounded like a terrific idea to me. The ICSE results came out in December, and I, standing in the principal's office, realized I had made the grade. I had topped my batch in English literature, and that pulled my grades up. I was assured admission into the best college in Mumbai, St. Xavier's, a 120-year-old institution where my father and uncles had studied. With my grades in my favor, I was set to cash in on my part of the deal, which I did. And a few weeks later, I found myself headed for New York in a large, gaudy Air India aircraft. My aunt and uncle stayed in Darien in a lush, quiet neighborhood full of stately homes and gorgeous trees. I was greatly taken up with the place and devoted all my time to playing with the neighborhood kids and watching television, color television, which was yet to make its advent in India. My uncle would leave early for work, and I was seldom up by then, so I barely got to know him. Besides, he seemed very preoccupied and distant. And when he spoke, he was brief, almost curt. I settled into a routine. I would wake up late, marvel at the peace and greenery outside my window, fix breakfast out of a brightly colored box of cereals, then settle before the television and chuckle over programs like the Flintstones and the Brady Bunch. Afternoons, I would accompany my aunt to the mall or to the supermarket. There, I would gape at the choice of clothes and provisions. Seeing my aunt load her shopping cart, I would feel a stab of regret. Back home in India, we could not allow ourselves such excesses. Even things like cheese, chocolates, cookies, branded jeans, and sportswear would be hard to come by. And when they would, they were received with an overwhelming sense of pleasure. In the stores, a smile from a friendly salesgirl would make my day. I suddenly started seeing myself as acceptable to the fairer sex. This was my life for 15 days. Then one day, my uncle summoned me to his study. My aunt, who accompanied me, wore an anxious face. This was so unlike her, for at most times, she was brimming with love and laughter. He started by asking me if I was enjoying myself, to which I said immensely. He asked me what my plans were for the length of my stay. I said I had no plans really. I was doing fine, soaking in the beauty and charm of America. So you really think this is America? He asked me. I thought he was joking and studied his face for signs of humor, but saw none. Well, I said, from what I have seen so far. And how much do you plan to see? He asked. I shrugged. I didn't know what he was getting at. I only knew he wasn't being too friendly. My aunt interjected. Sam, the boy has only just got in, but he raised his hand and stayed her. Tell me, he said, how big do you think is America in comparison to India? Bigger, I said, much bigger. Yes, but how much? He goaded. I don't know, I said. Maybe twice as big? 3 times, he said. And you think by staying here in sleepy Darien, you're going to be soaking in the beauty and charm of America? Do you think that that is all you're going to do for 3 months while you're here? I'm not sure what you mean, sir. What you have in mind, I said. A small panic rose in my chest. What had I done to piss him off? Looking at me intently, he began speaking in a soft, serious voice. He said he was tired of seeing me around the house, wasting my time like a typical Indian adolescent. He said he wanted me out of the house in 2 days. He repeated 2 days. He said he would give me $300, get me a Greyhound bus pass that would entitle me to a month's travel and give me contacts in a few cities. That was that. He wanted me out and did not want to see me back for a month. He said he hoped he was making himself clear. Damn it, I thought, is this what you do to your guest who has traveled from so far and who's, well, only 15? On our way out of Uncle Sam's study, my aunt tried to offer some excuses, but I wasn't listening. I was wondering how I was going to manage on the road for a month when back home I had never traveled on my own, always with family or with teachers on school trips. The next day, my aunt got a map of America and helped me to chart out a route. I was to journey from the East Coast to the West. In certain places, I would have to sleep at Greyhound bus station, shower there, wash my clothes in a laundrette, ration my dollars, and arrange my own sightseeing. I began my journey and realized that my fears were ill-founded. People were helpful. The bus network was excellent. The bus stations were well equipped with amenities. I could hire a bicycle in most places and go sightseeing by simply tailing one of the tourist coaches. The open roads of America did wonders for my state of mind. They opened me up to deep inner contemplation, and I realized that I enjoyed my own company greatly. I realized I enjoyed being on the road more than in the plush comfort of an estate in Connecticut. I think I'm going to freeze here. Maria, how are we placed for time?
You did really well. Thank you. You were excellent with timekeeping. Thank you so much, Murzban.
Oh, no, my pleasure. My pleasure. So,
really,
just to quickly round off, so one went looking for thrills, and what one experienced was actually one went looking for sexual adventures, sexual thrills, you know, kind of adolescent awakening. And what one discovered was love on the Greyhound, you know, and one discovered a country that really stood by its minorities. So I think this is how writing transforms you, and then you end up transforming others. You kind of transmit their realization onto others. So I think with that, I shall wrap up. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you, Murzban. That was wonderful. I very much enjoyed.
Please don't think it rude, but I'll have to sign off because it's rather late and it's almost 2 a.m. Yeah, huh?
Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much, guys. Take care. Take care, all of you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.
Yeah, thanks.
So I now would like to welcome Marina Cramer. She's the author of Let's Read. And yes, Marina, if you would like to share some words with us or read from your piece, that would be wonderful. And if you could let us know where you are based, because we don't know where everyone is based. We know we have writers from all over the world, but it would be nice to know.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here and to participate in this unique project. It was really an honor. A word about myself. My family fled the Soviet Union in 1944 and survived work in Nazi labor camps until the end of the war, after which, of course, they could not return home. I was born in a DP camp in Germany, and we all made the transition from refugees to immigrants when we landed in New York in 1956. But of course, being an immigrant, as every one of us here knows, is a perpetual condition, that as much as you become accustomed to your new home, you still are always from somewhere else. Some of this, my family's journey is, I wrote a novel called Roads, which in which some of that journey is featured, along with other things. The excerpt that I will read today is from my work in progress called Marfa's River. It is a takeoff from the first book, Roads, but it takes place in Brussels. This excerpt, though, will feature two of the main characters. One is Auntie Safronia, who is a woman born in Tsarist times in Ukraine, and she talks about her. She talks to her niece about some things she experienced in her childhood. So this is Auntie Safronia speaking. From my bed, I heard them in the kitchen. What do you want from me? Papa sounded irritated. I can't stay here and bake the bread and clean the house for you. I won't. From you, I want no more babies. My mother's voice, low as it was, carried clearly up to the sleeping loft I shared with the younger children. Mama coughed, long and hard. I need a woman to help me with the work. A woman. Anything else, madam? A new gown for the emperor's winter ball? My mother's chair scraped across the floor. I heard her moving around the room. The large pot we used for boiling laundry clanged against the stove. After a few minutes, Papa said, his voice softer now without that sarcastic edge. Anyway, you have Safronia. She's small but quick. She can help you. And the little ones adore her. My breath caught in my throat. I pressed both hands over my mouth to keep from making a sound and hung my head over the edge of the bed so I wouldn't miss anything. Safronia? My mother lifted the pot and crashed it down on the stove. She needs to go to school. What for? To learn how to cook soup? We sent the older girls, and now we see them on Sundays with their city manners and no husbands on the horizon. Women don't need book learning. I heard Mama lift a bucket we kept near the door and pour water into the wash pot. Is that what you think? Yes. What do you know? You don't travel the country or read the newspapers. You don't know what's going on in the cities where students and foreigners are stirring things up, talking about revolution. Safronia can learn to sign her name like you. We'll teach her how to use the abacus so she can run the shop. She'll be useful and stay out of trouble. I have decided. Safronia stays home. Oh, the empty bucket hit the floor and rolled away. You have decided. And tomorrow you leave. Who do you think decides things when you're not here? This stupid, uneducated woman. She coughed again, the spasm so sharp I thought I could feel the pain in my own chest. She slammed the bucket on the floor. Get me some more water from the pump. My father laughed. Exactly. You manage perfectly well. Education doesn't make you smarter, it makes you restless. He went out, leaving the door to swing open against the wall, creaky hinges whining. I felt hot and cold, furious and so disappointed, as if my life had ended right there on that night, as if nothing good would ever happen for me again. It wasn't my father's decision that made me lose all hope. It was his laughter. My brother Sylvestre taught me the alphabet. He was the oldest. He liked me. When he was home, he helped me carry water or bring in firewood, and he talked to me in a serious way. He gave me his old school notebooks so I could trace letters and start to read. He was a student at the Kiev Police Academy, a cadet. He wanted to be a detective, come home and serve our village and the surrounding areas, help people, uphold the law. When the Bolsheviks came, they demanded every cadet sign an oath to support the revolution. He refused, and they shot him right there in the schoolyard for all to see. And now I have another excerpt from the same work, and this is Marfa speaking. Marfa, who is a small child at this time, and she lives with her auntie Sophronia in Ukraine. Holodomor, 1932. I still shudder to remember that dreadful time. Sometimes walking to the meadow for nettles or dandelions, or if we were lucky, wild mushrooms, we would see people lying beside the road. Small as I was, I knew they should not be there. I knew they were dead. Some of them were missing an arm or a leg, their sleeves and pants torn away, caked with blood. None of them had shoes. Auntie Sophronia hurried past these. She tried to block them from my sight, moving between us, saying, "See that cloud over there? It looks just like a horse." She would talk about the berries we might find at the edge of the woods. But I did see. I saw a woman from our village crouched in the weeds, a hatchet in her hand, her dress hanging in dirty folds over her dry stick of a body. She clutched what looked like a log wrapped in a bloody rag. It wasn't a log, or a baby either. Logs don't have long blue fingers. Another time, Auntie covered my eyes with her hand. Too late. I had seen the naked body face down in the mud, large raw wounds where its buttocks should be. "Stupid birds," I shouted while a pair of crows picked at the corpse, ignoring my waving arms. "Who are these dead people, Auntie? Why don't their families bury them in the cemetery?" She didn't answer. Once she said to me over our supper of bitter greens, "If anyone offers you meat or stew, don't eat it. Run away." Why? "It could be bad meat. It will make you sick." She kept her eyes averted, wouldn't look at me. It wasn't like her. She always spoke plain to me, teaching, explaining. "Why, Auntie?" I asked again. Why? She sounded angry. "Just don't eat it," I said, "even if you're hungry." I'm always hungry, I thought. There's no need to say it. Early one evening, when the famine was in the past and the war with Germany had not yet started, I was in the yard feeding the chickens. We were poor, but not without hope. The crops were in, the inspectors had stopped poking in our pantries and cellars for hidden food supplies. Through the open door, I smelled the Sunday supper Auntie Sophronia was cooking for us, meat and vegetables and roasted potatoes. I loved feeding the chickens. The grain flowed through my fingers like water, the hens crowding each other to claim the best kitchen scraps. They balanced their heavy bodies on slender legs, their smooth heads bobbing up and down, pecking. Hens, no, crows. Lustrous feathers blacker than the blackest sin, big sharp beaks tearing human flesh. Auntie Sophronia's cold, tight voice saying, "Don't eat it, run away." I saw again the woman with the ghoulish parcel under her arm, running like a thief, even though no one was chasing her. I understood the horrible secret no one talked about, the desperation fueled by starvation fever that had transformed ordinary people into savages. My arm froze in midair, the grain raining down on the hapless chickens' heads. "My God," I whispered, "my God." Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marina. I would like now to welcome Flower. Flower is the author of "Water Runs Down My Eyes as I See No Light Ahead." Flower? Is Flower here? Maybe she's not here at the moment. Flower, are you here with us? I'm just checking the chat box. So I don't think Flower is actually with here now. So what I will do, I will move to the next speaker, and then maybe if Flower joins us later on, I will try and see if she joins. I will give her an opportunity to speak. So Madalena Daleziou, we would like to welcome you. Madalena is the author of A Reason to Stay. Hello, Madalena. Nice to meet you.
Hello, thank you for having me. And I'm really honored that that it's the first time I have published a short story, and I'm really honored it was with you. I am a Greek writer. I am currently living in Glasgow, so I'm joining you from Scotland. I first came to the UK in 2018 for an Erasmus program, but already I was considering moving to the UK permanently, which I was able to do when I did my master's here in 2019. Unfortunately, I hadn't seen COVID coming. So my short story recounts this struggle that's often associated with voluntary migration, because obviously my experience isn't as difficult as other people's have been forced to leave their countries rather than doing so voluntarily. So this journey was interesting, but was also associated with some guilt. And when I wrote that piece, I was feeling quite nostalgic for Greece because I haven't been there for 1 year and a half, and was really struggling with that decision. And I think this is reflected in my writing. In general, immigration is influencing my work both consciously and subconsciously. And I'm really interested in writing as a way to find connections and solace in an increasingly scary world. So now I have chosen a few passages from my work to read. The first is from the beginning, and then I have a part in the middle I would like to share, and then a part towards the end. The first time you back your country for a reason to stay, she blows you a kiss, warmer on your cheeks and bare arms, smelling of pine and road dust. Your part of the world is dry, a rock thrown into the sea, wave eaten, dug relentlessly, to resemble the shape of a home. Your people are born with salt in their mouths and steel in their bones. The winds are more biting after mid-autumn, the tall ceilinged houses twice as cold, the sun all teeth. No almond tree grows there. It takes stubborner roots to thrive on the rocks. But when the warm air of your country's kisses rustles among your little armchairs, melodies creep up on your skin. Your grandfather's songs in the backyard, the water murmur as your grandmother pulled it down at midday with a green hose pipe. The song of the blooming almond tree was your favorite. Your country is kind. She gives you words. She gives you people who live and breathe them. She gives you hands to pick you up when you fall face first onto your broken sidewalks. But after so many years, your bricks grow rusty. You know by then that some people leave, some stay. Soil and cement have nothing to do with it. You can't tell when it happens. Perhaps there is no single moment, just many little ones. Dying jasmine blooms in August, falling in your palms. 1. You no longer hear the song of the almond tree when warm air kisses your temples. 2. You shake your purse like a hot thermometer and the €2 coin still doesn't fall. The paper cup house will have to do without a door and you will have to do with a caffeine withdrawal headache. 3. A sidewalk tile moves when you step on it. You fall hard on your knees in a mess of muddy water 13 minutes before class. 4. 5. 6. You breathe in words instead of road dust and pine trees. 26 letters, not your mother's 24, promising. With every heartbeat, your country swings. She was a goddess once, taller than your father. You wouldn't dare look her in the eyes, not even on tiptoes. When did she become so small? Was the sky always so low, the sun so loud, the earth so dry, suffocating you? You start looking forward to your pillow because it takes you to green forests and enchanted stones with sharks sleeping in their bellies. The houses are made of fairy stories, sugared with snow. You've never touched snow. You want to see these things with your eyes open. You want your blisters to amount to something. When you tell her, your country gives you a handful of paper notes. You may go, but only if you return on time for the next term. They have my marbles, she says. They can't have you too. And then I will read a very short passage towards the end. The last time you beg your country for a reason to stay, she kisses you, both sides, cheek to cheek. She hangs a blue eye around your neck and hands you a bar of almond chocolate for the way. She doesn't give you a pouch of her soil. The image is a knife in the gut when put on paper, so you put it in paper too, but you aren't your exiled ancestor, so you can't claim it. You chose this, didn't you? She does not say leave. She does not say stay. She does not say I love you. You wonder if it is because some things are ruined when said out loud, or because no country can ever love you back, not even your own. She says, I'm not big enough. I can't keep you on. And then her arms are tight around you, filling you with longing up to your nose before you're even gone, suffocating you, undoing you. A handwave would never do, not in this land. Then she backs off. There is crimson in her smile as she sees you off, the blood of all her children, and the wine from all her vineyards, sharp as her son's teeth. You see the shade of pride beside the red, the ancient pride before it was frozen into marble, the wildness of the wolves in her borders and the last eagles in her mountains. You know then that she longs for the muses as much as you, and she knows that you will only write about her if she lets you go. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Madalena. That was wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that with us. I would like now to welcome Kin Stubis. So Kin Stubis, I apologize, but your email went to my junk box and she's a late addition to the schedule just because I missed this email, and it's important that we accommodate all the people who wanted to speak, all our writers. So Kin, would you like to share something with us? You're on mute. You need to unmute yourself. You're on mute, Kin. Let me see if I can unmute you.
All right, am I on now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Fantastic. Well, thank you all so much. All of us gathering here today share one of the several important identities. We're all immigrants, refugees, or asylum seekers of that nature. For one reason or another, we all have left our birth countries to search for our hopes, dreams, a safe haven, and new homeland. For those who have succeeded, we're now immigrants. For those who are still trying, they're now refugees, asylum seekers. We work hard, strive to adapt and learn everything afresh in a place strange to us, but that we now call home. We often wish that more people can hear our stories and understand us, because our lives are complicated and hard-fought, and our life stories can be quite unique and often more dramatic than fiction, which potentially could make us great writers. Finally, we have hope, the other side of hope, as our platform where we can share our stories, ideas, perspectives on life. For that, I want to thank everyone who has worked so hard to bring this magazine to the world and for publishing my short story, The Proposal. I am Ching Sun Stubis, a writer, a newspaper columnist, and an earthling who went halfway around the world to find myself a new home. I was Chinese for the first 30 years of my life, and now I will be American until the day I die. I was born in the squalor of a Shanghai shanty town and grew up during the chaos of the Cultural Revolution. After I was born, my mother was forced to leave me all alone by myself in a crib all day long so she could go out to make money and support our family. Our father was harvesting bamboo in a faraway forest, not knowing our plight. Growing up, I saw my honest father imprisoned, tortured for the things he didn't do. When our father's company refused to pay him a wage, and our family, neighbors, and friends abandoned us, my three sisters and I combed through the city streets and dumpsters for firewood and the remains of unburned charcoal so we could start our stove at home. Often we had little to eat and went to bed with half-empty stomachs. No matter how hard life became, we were told by our mother to read books and study hard. We often starved our bellies, but would never starve our minds. That paid off when I graduated from high school. It just so happened that the revolution was over and China reinstated its annual national exam for colleges. I got into the Shanghai Institute of Foreign Languages. During the 4 years there, I studied and fell in love with English literature. While I adored so many writers, I never thought I would become one, for English was a foreign language to me. Many told me that America was the richest and most beautiful country in the world. In Chinese, it's called 美国, which literally means beautiful country. So it was no surprise that I ended up here. In 1989, I stuffed all my belongings into 2 suitcases and departed. Just like Mr. Chen, the character in my short story, The Proposal. It was a little piece of my own life experience that I wanted to weave into this bigger than life journey. In this story, it takes Mr. Chen 25 years to fulfill his immigration dream. Being a man of little means, no education, no relatives overseas, he found the only way to get his little family to America was by making a startling sacrifice, and he bravely carried it out, but at great personal cost, losing his family in order to save it. Here's an excerpt from the story. Mr. Chen finally witnessed with his own eyes the success of his grand plan. It was bittersweet. Every character involved seems to be living happily ever after, just as in the story, exactly the way he had intended. Since he was part of his own plan all along, he realized at that moment that he too needed to move on and find his own happiness. At long last, it was his turn to think about just himself and his own future. Like Mr. Chen, we all sacrifice as we chase after our hopes and dreams, sometimes not even knowing if they could be fulfilled. But we are courageous and willing to bet on them. We're immigrants and refugees. Today, I'm humbled and honored to be representing immigrant voices from around the world and to be part of the other side of hope. I hope that this virtual launching meeting will strengthen our immigrant and refugee sisterhood and brotherhood. We have made a commitment to support each other's voices and works, help each other to succeed. Let's please share, tweet, and like the pieces published by our dear magazine so that more people will understand who we are and what we have sacrificed to make new lives in our new lands. The Other Side of Hope has given us a voice by publishing our works. And now it's our turn to support the magazine and help it succeed so that many more immigrants and refugee writers like us will finally be heard. And I have 5 copies of the magazine, which will be distributed to the lucky people who will be receiving them and reading all your wonderful stories. And also a side note that my historical memoir, Once Our Lives, will be published in Canada by Guernica Ward Edition. And I'm looking forward to the birth of my book. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you very much, Kim. That was so moving. Thank you for sharing these words and your past and explaining. And thank you for your kind words about the magazine. We are very grateful and we are very pleased to host writers like yourself. Thank you. I would like now to welcome Sahra Mohamed. Is Sahra here? Yes, hello, Sahra. So Sahra is one of our writers and she's the author of Navigating Corporate, a first-generation Black Muslim woman. So we would like to welcome you and we would like to hear from you. If you would like to share a few words about your work or your journey, that would be wonderful.
Sure, thank you. So my name's Sahra. I was born in Yemen and I'm from a Somali background and grew up in London. I'm very interested in literature, particularly anything to do with heritage. I'm currently writing a historical fictional novel based in Somalia, but the piece that I'll be sharing today is actually non-fiction. So it's an article, like an essay about my time navigating corporate as a first-generation Black Muslim woman and my experience over the course of like 4 years since graduating. So it's quite long, so I think I'll be like doing chapters or sections throughout. So yeah. Being the eldest daughter in an immigrant household, much of my life has embodied responsibilities. I grew up adopting my mother's nurturing manner as she took care of our home and family, with my priorities eventually shifting to financial duties as I followed suit of my father. Naturally, the pressure to support my family in all capacities was strong. In recognition of my parents' struggles, I had assumed part-time jobs while studying full-time in an attempt to relieve some of their burdens. This desire, combined with my unhealthy concern, is what ultimately drove me over the edge. Upon completion of my final year undergrad thesis, I began the job hunt immediately. The fear of failing into a period of inactivity and what I deemed at the time to be failure was both daunting and out of the question. After more than 50 applications and interviews, I accepted a 3-month internship at a distinguished healthcare communications firm in London. Relieved, I assumed my problems were over. Little did I know, however, that this was but just the first hurdle. The transition from student to job seeker is difficult. Full-time employee, even more so. As first-generation immigrants, we tend to be the first in our families to face such struggle, often with little or no resources to aid our adjustment. The pool of knowledge accessible to me came directly from my older brothers. Despite their willingness to guide me in my first corporate role, we worked in entirely different fields, so their advice was unfortunately inapplicable to my situation. Nor could they identify with my challenges of being a Black woman, a visibly Muslim one and that. Thus, I entered the corporate world at 21, naive and ill-informed. The first thing I noticed as I began my role was just how much I differed from my colleagues. Not only was I, without doubt, the youngest person working in the building, I was also the only Black person in an environment with very little diversity. Coming from a community where bore close resemblance to my peers, being thrown in a completely foreign space presented many challenges. I found myself amongst upper middle class Oxford graduates with PhDs, MBAs, you name it. Their cumulative knowledge and expertise were truly remarkable. Needless to say, the first class undergrad degree I had just acquired became less and less impressive. They discussed mortgages, exclusive holidays, and private education for their kids, while I yearned for a companion to hash over Netflix shows and Twitter memes. It was and still is a huge culture shock. To my dismay, the lack of diversity was not unique to my small bubble. It extended onto larger scales and platforms too, such as our industry's award ceremony, an annual prestigious event which showcases and recognizes excellence in the sector. During the presenter's speech, where he spoke of his delight in witnessing the industry evolve to encompass diversity, I couldn't help but study the attendees in their thousands, all of whom were Caucasian, and wonder what he was referring to. The only variation I could see was perhaps age, and even that was hopeful. Is that socials like these where exclusion towards Muslims is often heightened, with drinking culture being mostly to blame. In the corporate field, it is no surprise that drinking is the primary way teams socialize. It boosts staff morale, strengthens personal relationships, and in some cases, even gives employees a deeper insight into the business and clientele itself. But for non-drinkers like myself, these occasions are bread. I sometimes feel my seniors are closer to the other juniors in our team as they regularly join them for after-work drinks, whereas I do not, constantly causing me to worry that my career progression will be negatively impacted. In addition to the physical and social barriers to overcome, there was also my own insecurity and increasing consciousness that I did not belong. Longing for a change of scenery during my first week, I decided to venture from my desk and into the kitchen to have my lunch. Met with uncomfortable stares, I regretted the decision right away, but it was too late. My interest had already gathered quite the attention from the packs of middle-aged gents. After a few awkward bites of my sandwich and some mumbling on the table adjacent to mine, one brave Samaritan approached my desk, kindly directing me to the ESOL college downstairs. Surely this man did not miss the obvious lanyard around my neck, the same ID clipped to his belt which granted us both equal access to the floor. In that moment, I decided to give him the benefit of doubt, taking his concern as a compliment. It must have been my youthful glow. But when these instances aren't a one-off and you're constantly on the receiving end of preconceptions, you gradually lose faith in society. Over time, a simple trip to the communal kitchen or restroom was enough to provoke my anxiety. It was not until recently that I was becoming aware of the toll my job was having on my physical and mental well-being. Upon reflection, it was apparent that I had thrown myself in the deep end and taken on too much. Work had consumed my life and I was doing little of what excited me. Having worked extensively throughout undergrad as well as immediately after, a change of scenery is very much needed. 4 years later, my perspective on employment has completely changed. I am now in the process of abandoning toxic thought patterns and developing less socially conditioned views on self-worth and success. Although our 20s are a widely recognized period for risk-taking, this is often difficult for the less privileged like myself. Unlike our advantaged counterparts, we are generally not given the luxury of going down a journey of self-exploration. Commitments such as financially contributing to the household upon completion of our studies take precedence, and thus engaging in risky ventures is not an option. With that said, going conservative during your 20s is something I would strongly advise against. This is exactly when you should go backpacking in Asia, or in my case, finish that novel that I have been delaying. The final paragraph is, society has many misconceptions surrounding different demographics. And as a young Black Muslim working class woman, I have borne the brunt of them all. But I am slowly learning to appreciate the beauty and power that comes with it.
Thank you, Sahra. That was so nice to hear, and thank you for sharing this. I know it's quite personal. I really enjoyed reading your story. Thank you very much, and nice to see you and meet you. Okay, so everyone has been absolutely fantastic in keeping to the time. Thank you. I really thank you for that, because I know it's really difficult. So you've been all really, really great. I would like now to welcome Radhika Maira Tabrez, and she's the author of Milk and Eggs. Hello.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. I'm so excited. And it's been phenomenal listening to these excerpts because, as luck would have it, I haven't been united with my copy of the book yet. This story was written partly in Malaysia. By the time it got to publication, by the time it was accepted and got to publication, I was in Bangladesh. My copy was couriered to my Delhi address because that's where I expected finally to be. I did come to India, but I haven't been able to pick up my copy. And in 7 days, we are off to Canada. So this story it has happened over a major part of me moving around. And it was like A.M. Dassu said earlier, I came across this contest in some Twitter list, and I read about it and I was blown away. And I was like, I thought exactly what she said. She thought that, why hasn't anybody thought of this earlier? This is fantastic. A magazine written, contributed to by and put together by immigrants and refugees carrying their stories and everything. And this was my first international short story publication, submission. And I was very nervous. And from what I'd heard from other writer friends, that you send a submission and then you forget about it, because you don't hear for months, if at all you hear. And I submitted this story to a couple of places, and I got one acceptance from, I believe it was the Mulberry Literary in a couple of days. And I missed it because it landed up in some other folder I wasn't even expecting. And then when I saw that, I contacted the editors here and I said, I've already been accepted there, but I'll be very happy to forego that because I do want to be a part of this. And from there, I had this fantastic exchange with Alexandros, who I believe is the editor, and he was just so phenomenal in helping me. I mean, the whole experience has been really wonderful. And as much as emotional and as engaging as the story ended up being, because the story, like I said, happened over a very long period of time. And the part that I'm going to read right now will give a little bit of a glimpse of why it is called Milk and Eggs. There are two parts to it, but let's just get into it. I hope I keep to the time though. BBG, doctor ko kyun nahi dikha leti? Sheila urges as she settles down on the floor next to my bed. She wants me to get diagnosed by a doctor. I perk up with the smell of the fresh coriander in her hands, but only for a minute. That is how long any respite lasts. Then I'm back there, in the fusty, suffocating dungeon of my mind. Her voice has a timbre of concern. I nod. It is all I ever say to her. She waits a few moments for an answer and then throws herself back into her work. She knows the peripheries of an employee-employer relationship. Besides, I bet her husband is on his way to pick her up. I did consult a doctor once. He had diagnosed me with clinical depression and asked me to come back with a family member so that he could discuss a treatment plan. I never even mentioned that meeting to my husband. We don't talk about things like these in our family or our country. I almost blurt all this out to Sheila, an eruption long due. But then I noticed the disgust on her face as she splits open a big bunch of coriander and spots a patch of festering, almost black leaves right in the midst of all that vibrant green. She seems rankled enough by the sight of that. My festering insides can wait. That night, the night of my neighbor's suicide, I'd stayed up wondering what I was going to do. The din of my husband's snores interrupting my thoughts. I was scared to talk to him, but I was also tired of feeling the way I did. Suffocated, hopeless, in a pain that I couldn't fathom, like death was the only possible relief. It is beyond wearisome to spend my days thinking of ways to kill myself and then chickening out at the last minute. Moreover, it's humiliating, the realization that no matter how much I hate my existence, I do not have the courage to end it. I remember just lying there that night, hoping and wishing that I were afflicted with something more tangible, something people could see and hence believe. One of my aunts had cancer and the whole world rallied to support her. A friend from school had an accident and was bedridden for months. Her husband was by her side the entire time. I wish I had something like that. Poisonous cells, broken bones, something people had an understanding of and could sympathize with. Because they sure as hell don't have either for a heart getting engulfed in a darkness it can't seem to escape. I did try talking to my mother about it the next morning though. Her tone was dismissive. I had caught her during her 1 hour of nap time during 16-hour workdays. She spoke to me with the crossness I deserved for my bad timing and for bringing up a ludicrous subject. Depression is a luxury of the rich and poor. We middle-class people do not have time for such problems. Let go of the maid, she said. I do everything myself, the cooking, the cleaning, the dishes, the laundry. Heck, now I even have the kitchen garden to tend to. Have you seen the prices of vegetables lately? 100 rupees for 1 kg tomatoes. So do I have time for such silly thoughts? I barely have time for my favorite TV serial. Did you catch the last night's episode? I missed it. I told her I don't watch TV anymore. But it is the biggest one in the whole family, she gasped. I gave her a minute to forgive my sacrilege and then told her I don't even have the energy to get it from the bed on most days, let alone do all that housework. The doctor had said it was a very common symptom in patients with depression. The doctor is an idiot, all this newfangled nonsense. Why do you make money on such things? Drink milk twice a day and eat an egg for breakfast. That'll give you all the energy you need to, she said. A yawn ate up the end of her sentence. I told her my husband and I hardly talk to each other anymore. What is there to talk about? Politics? sports, work problems? What do you know about any of that anyway? Conversations are for jobless men and elderly, bored elderly. He's busy bringing home the dough. You should be busy cooking rotis from it. I thought I taught you well. She sighed, a lifetime of failed effort in one big heave. I told her I'm lonely and sad. That is exactly why young couples should have children right away. 5 years it has been. People have started to gossip. That is why you should have seen a doctor for. How would I take care of a child if I can hardly take care of myself? I have this horrible feeling all the time, like I'm sinking, and I don't even wish to be saved, I beseeched. I knew it. Evil eye. No one in the whole of Hamirpur has ever managed to buy a house as big as yours. Fast every Friday in the name of Santoshi Ma, skip the egg that day, and chant a few prayers. And don't forget to feed a hungry cow every Monday. That will ward off the evil eye. I will ask the temple priest for some more solutions. She went on to remind me how grateful I needed to be for all that I had, instead of being depressed about what I think I don't have. Do I even know how much the girls back in Hamirpur envy me for my city life? The thought of telling her that I envy Sheila, my maid, rose in me like bile. I almost did, but she yawned again, this time longer and louder. That was the last I had spoken to anyone about my condition. Though I did wonder after that failed attempt, if the solutions to my problem were really as simple as my mother had suggested. It is hard to fight the allure of such escapist logics, especially when there's no other escape available. Drink milk, eat an egg, feed a cow, have a baby. Is that why our country is so overpopulated? Every time people are sad, they go get themselves a living toy. I'd once read that we are worse than most countries when it comes to something called the happiness index. And now we're on our way to being the most populated country in the world. The facts add up, if you ask me.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Radhika. Thank you very much. That was wonderful to hear about your experience, and thank you for sharing that with us.
Thank you. I hope I didn't overshoot the time though.
Oh, you don't worry. You all have brilliant. It's been we are pretty much on schedule. Thank you. Don't worry. So next on our schedule, we've got now Minaxi Champaneri, and Minaxi is here on behalf of the Middle Eastern Women's Friendship Group, who are a collective of authors, and they have written Lost and Found Mother Tongue. So welcome, Minaxi.
Thank you. I'm so honored to represent Maryhill Integration Network and reading our group poem today. Before I read our poem, I would like to say briefly about the open book. Open book runs shares reading and creative writing sessions for the diverse range of community and public participants across the Scotland. Open book work with the Maryhill Integration Network, an organization that since 2001 it has been dedicated to bringing refugee, asylum seekers and migrants and the settled inhabitants of Glasgow together. The creative writing group is made up of women from across the world who meet in person and online to read and write poetry together. I'm involved with the Maryhill Integration Network with lots of classes like choir, singing, dancing, gardening, and of course, the open book creative writing group. I'm going to read now our group poem. It's called Scotland. It's our Oasis Women group poem, Scotland. Here is a picture of Clydebank. See the mix of the old and the new. Here is the kindness of my GP in the dark night of a winter, and the accent which belongs to my children now. Here, a bottle of rain and of clear sea water, and the light on the mountain and the rowan tree. and the picture of my pals eating fish and chips. Here are the grey skies and cloudy days and peace of mind. One drop of rain on the headscarf, paisley pattern in the colors of an iron blue sunset. I carry with me now that kindness and rain. Before I end up, I would like to say a huge thank you to our uh, group leader and leading reader is a Catherine, and she is the bestest person we have ever known. And thank you for open book, and thank you everybody for listening to our group poem. Thank you.
Thank you, Minaxi. Thank you very much. I would like now to welcome Bänoo, who is the author of I Can't Go Home, and to the editors. Hello, Bänoo. Nice to meet you. Hi.
Hi, thank you so much. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Thank you. Before I share the poems, I would like just to take a few moments to thank the wonderful editors of this volume for their vision that's not only diverse, but also brave, because they included a poem that is not easy for the normal run of editors to include in this volume. And so thank you everyone who's been involved, and wish you all the best and wonderful reading so far, and I'm looking forward to more. So I have two poems. One, I'm going to say just that, you know, there's a word in this poem, Evin. Evin is a prison in Tehran, Iran, with a notorious word for political prisoners. So this poem is called I Can't Go Home. I can't go home, even in dreams, to the yard with flowers mother planted and father uprooted. What's the use of flowers, he would say. They bear no fruit. Instead, he watered orange trees planted along the walls. I can't go back to the tall ceiling and polished walnut trees, walnut doors with hexagons of colored glass. The living room cold and bare, a winter gym where we ran. I can't go back. I dreamed I was in Evin. They were transporting me to an unnamed prison in Afghanistan. I was in a van, noticed my mother in the back seat of the car in front, opened my mouth to call her name, made a move to see her better, realized I was immobile inside a Russian doll, large enough to keep me small. The driver looked in the mirror and started the van. My heart, a black hole. He parked beside the car to allow us a closer look. My heart, a weightless black hole. I once saw a bird of prey descend upon a pigeon in our yard. There was no sign of birds for a week, even though mother left them food and water, as always. I can't go back. I have planted words that bear no fruit. I can't go back to poetry people plant and despots uproot, to the sentence of hawks for doves, inside a painted wooden fairy tale. I can't go home, even in nightmares. The second poem I would like to share with you comes from my observation of the literary scene in the West in general, North America and European progressive literary journals. I submit a lot to different journals. Many North American and Western literary magazines have disclaimers to the following effect on their submission pages. We do not publish work that includes racism, bigotry, misogyny, homophobia, transphobia, Islamophobia, xenophobia, anti-Semitism, ableism, etc. So this poem is titled "To the Editors." If my poem glorifies Islam, you accept it. But if it critiques my fellow Muslims, you reject it. If it invites sympathy for the displaced, you publish it. But if it exposes violence in immigrant communities, you reject it. If it denounces a Western politician, you feature it. But if it denounces the dictator in my home country, you reject it. In your pages, my religion is perfect. My community is perfect. My country is perfect. You exercise self-critique, the authentic critique, but deny me the same right. No one is healed by claiming they're healthy and have the lie taken for truth. No community is perfect, neither yours nor mine. I wonder how long it will take for my people to stop to question our ways. I wonder how long it will take for my people to question our ways, to stop murdering, torturing, raping ourselves, to stop oppressing ourselves, to stop our unending exodus to your part of the world, only to be told we cannot criticize ourselves. Meanwhile, dictators sincerely thank you for your support. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. That was so powerful. Thank you, Bänoo, for sharing that with us. And it's a very important message. Yes, something for the editors to think. I would have more to say about that, but I'm aware of time. So thank you very much for that. We are doing really well with time. I would like now to welcome Musembi and Ndaita, who is the author of Dassu, to say a few words about his piece and about himself. Hello, Musembi.
Thank you. Hi.
Hello.
Hi. So thank you very much, Maria. I'm very much honored to be included in this wonderful collection together with my fellow wonderful writers. Kudos to the editors. It's just been wonderful working with you. So excuse me, please. So I grew up in Kenya, but I currently live in Philadelphia, in Pennsylvania, and I dedicate this story to my wonderful wife, who is also an immigrant and works with a non-profit here in Philadelphia known as Nationality Service Center. So she's working tirelessly to ensure that immigrants and refugees find a safe place and a wonderful place to call home here in Philadelphia. This story, the second president of Kenya was very much revered by people, especially religious leaders. And this story is a play into just this idea that one person is bigger than everyone else and he needs to be, or she needs to be so much revered. So I'm going to read from the beginning and also at the end. All right, let me start. Does E, that's the title of my story. I was 10 when I first met His Excellency. Baba bought us Kaunda suits for the visit. Christmas comes early, I thought as he spoke. You see Mama with your hands clasped behind your back like this. Don't just say yes. It's yes, sir, or yes, Your Excellency, or even better, yes, Mtukufu Rais. Never, ever talk with food in your mouth. But if Mtukufu asks you a question and you have something in your mouth, cover it, Evie, then speak. Never keep Mtukufu waiting. Once at the dining table, you can't go to the toilet. Empty everything before sitting down. Okay, now, what did I just say? My brother and I chorused back. So tell me, where was His Excellency born? What are his hobbies? What's his favorite Bible verse? We dutifully answered, Daniel. Yes, Dad. Maybe you could recite the Pledge of Allegiance to Mtukufu. I think he'd laugh that. Yes, I said, jumping up and down. Can we hear it? I sighed, turned to face His Excellency's picture that hung above the dining table, stood at attention, saluted, and said, I pledge my loyalty to the President and the nation of Kenya, my readiness and duty to defend the flag of our republic. Arambe, Arambe, Amen. Baba clapped, wrapped his arm around my shoulders, and kissed my forehead. The way Baba speaks, you'd think His Excellency neither farts nor shits. My brother said as we tried all the kaundas, eat a gray, eat a brown. Does he? I asked, lips shaking. I suspended the trousers on my thighs and waited for a response from Ernest the Wise. He was 5 years older, and everything he said, I believed. Like when he told me that WWE was real, or that his pimpled face was a sign from Aphrodite that girls were interested, more than interested, in him. Everyone cheats and farts, everyone, His Excellency included. No way Mtukufu lets one out, not even the accidental pops, not with the way Baba speaks of him, I thought. But if wise Ernest said that he shot, then he shot. And for once, I doubted him. He jumped into bed, rolled over, and with his back to the wall, blasted a succession of loud, smelly ones. Pow, pow, pow. I bet he's got some loud ones too. What's wrong with you? I shouted. You flirt with heresy, I thought, digging my nose into the pillow to escape Ernest's manure. Even in heaven, we'll fart and shit, sweet-smelling farts in the city of gold, he said. My lips shook, not so much in anger, but in fear for Ernest, for his soul. Had he forgotten Psalm 1? Baba had us recite it every week and reminded us that in a country that was increasingly trivializing His Excellency, we ought never to walk, stop, or talk in the way of the wicked. Ernest's fat smelled like rotten eggs, and no matter how hard I pressed the pillow on my nose, it was as if I was squatting in the village toilet, suffocating in the manure of my predecessors. He farted again. I jumped off my bed. And now to the end of the story. There's a lot that happens, but let's get to the end here. Moments before Mtukufu came out, one of the servants placed a violin next to the babe. When His Excellency was seated, the bishop prayed, then invited the special musicians for the afternoon, Mrs. Mumo and her son. Have you ever had a moment in your life where you were so happy that everything seemed perfect and you didn't know whether you were floating in the sky or seated in a chair? I have. For a brief moment, after the bishop mentioned my name, I couldn't tell whether I was outside or inside my body. I sighed, said a prayer in my heart, beseeching the Lord to keep P from my pants, and hit G, C, E, C. I could play the piano. Ernest couldn't. The piano was to his fingers what a rugby ball was to my hands. As I hit D, C, A, G, I saw His Excellency smile looking at me. My heart beat faster. At that moment, I knew that Baba was right whenever he said that we aren't proud because we have something, but rather because we have what others don't. I smiled, closed my eyes, hit E, D, G, tapped my feet, and gloried in my schadenfreude. You did well today, son, Baba said when he came to wish me good night. Mtukufu wants you to play again tomorrow before we leave. My heart somersaulted. I couldn't tell whether I was floating or standing. I felt that I could say anything to anyone. Baba, His Excellency breaks wind. He lets out smelly ones, right? He wrapped his hand over my shoulders, clasped my right ear as tightly as a pliers on a stubborn nail, and pinched me so hard I screamed, farted, and peed. And that's the end. I hope my mom will not see the recording. I don't know what she'll say, but yeah.
Oh, that was brilliant. Thank you, Musembi. And you were the last speaker in my schedule. And well, there was a speaker who didn't seem to be here, but I would like to invite Flower, if Flower is here to speak now. If Flower is not here, we actually have some time miraculously for questions and for discussion, since we are only due to finish at 9:30. So everyone was wonderful in terms of keeping up to the time. So I thank you all for that, because it was a long schedule and everyone had the time to say something. So that was really good, but we actually have time for questions. So if Flower is not here, I'm very happy to offer everyone here. I can see some names here that I recognize, to give them an opportunity to say something or to ask questions to the writers who have spoken today. If you could raise your hand. So in Zoom, there is a raise hand facility. You should have it. Not everyone will have that. Or if you could post in the chat box that you'd like to talk or say something. So I will keep an eye on that, and please do. Oh, Amir. Amir?
Oh, hi there. Can you hear me, everyone?
Hello, Amir.
Hi, thank you very much for this. I'm honored, really.
We can't see you. I don't know if it is intentional. Please don't feel you have to put your camera on, but your camera is not on. If that's fine, but just to let you know.
I can't put it on at the moment.
Oh, that's fine. No problem. No problem. Okay,
yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's a wonderful thing for this to happen. Fantastic work, everyone. Well done on making all this happen. And thank you. I would like to thank Malka Al-Haddad for introducing me to this magazine, and special thanks to you, Maria and Alex, as well, for doing all of this. Just a quick comment. I thought I think the themes of home, identity, and belonging emerged in today's gathering. They are themes, they seem to constantly appear in refugee writing and literature. It will be great to dig deeper, perhaps, into them in the future, and more importantly, dig into the life, into the individual life of each writer regarding how these themes change or shape their new lives where they arrive. Just a general thought to throw it around. And thank you again for everyone. I really thoroughly enjoyed this.
Thank you, Amir. Thank you very much for that. Anyone else? Oh, I can see. So let me just check. I can see someone raising the hand. Oh, okay. Oh, that's Amir. Okay. So Amir has spoken. Anyone else that would like to say something? Or response to the poems or interventions?
Could I speak?
Yes, go ahead, Bänoo. Yes.
Thank you so much. I was late because I was in a class. I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit, give us a brief history of how this magazine came about. And
yes, that's a very good question. And to answer that question, he's going to be really upset about it because he's a very shy person. I'm going to ask Alex, the founding editor. Alex, would you like to answer that? I know you're not going to like these.
Hello.
Hey, Alex, well done. You're here. Alex, you must answer this question. This is a question for you, really.
How the magazine, for years, I used to work to do creative writing workshops with refugees in Leicester, which is a city in East Midlands in the UK. And I got to know the refugees quite well because I used to, through these workshops, we became friends, and I used to go to their houses and we used to have meals and talk. And they always said stories to me, and through the workshops they used to write stories. And sometimes when you come, when you are new in a country, it's you have the problem with English. You speak very, very little, but sometimes they would write very beautiful poems, and then this idea started to come in my head, and I had it in my head for quite a few years. But so I wanted to create a magazine that publishes refugees and immigrants, and because of my personal experience, so when I write is very difficult for me to write in English, but I want to write in English for whatever reason. I wanted to create a magazine where people like the refugees that I've met in my life, and the immigrant writers like me who find it hard to write in their second language, but they still want to write in their second language. I want to give a place for them to publish their work. And also I wanted to show to local people, whoever local people might be, it could be, in local people in England or in America or wherever, to show that we that were not born here, we can do things and we can do them well. And not only we can do things that are not only the hard jobs, you know, working as a cleaner, working in factories. This we have proved that we can do it. But I wanted to do, you know, in arts, in writing, because this is what I know about. So this is what I want to do. The problem for me was to create such a magazine, you need funding. And my problem is that I find very difficult to write application forms for funding. I've never written anything in my life, you know, these sort of applications. And I knew that Arts Council, there was a pot in Arts Council, and I could apply to create something like that. But for years, I was just leaving it because I couldn't face the application form. When I would look at it, I would say, no, I can't do it. But then I spoke to someone. I used to work for a refugee festival in Leicester. And I told them, look, this is what I want to do. This is the Journeys International Festival. And I told them, I want to do this for many years, but I don't know, I don't want to do the application. I can't do the application form. And they said, we'll help you, Alex. You know, don't worry, we'll help you. And they helped me with application. And then I approached people that I knew. I knew Malka for years in Leicester. I knew Maria, and then Hansa and Rubina joined us. And then Olivia, I knew him for many years as well. And then we applied for it and it was accepted. And then it started and it took, it was very hard to promote it, to make it known. It took lots of work. Because none of us had created something like that before, so it was our first time. It took lots of energy, and there was lots of uncertainty if we could do it. I felt that maybe we can't do it at some point. I was worried that we might not get submissions from people. And then, you know, first week we got like 3. I think when we opened, we got 3, 4 submissions. And then slowly they started, people started sending work and sending, and then it was too much. I said, oh, what we're going to do now? Yeah, then we managed to do it. The time was very tight because we had deadline from Arts Council England. But we managed to do it, and we brought George Sfougaras as the cover artist, and he was very generous, and he said, yes, Alex, just take whatever you like, just use it. And we learned many things on the way. We learned about printing and printing costs, about how to reply to people. What I thought was, what I wanted very much, because I know refugees and what they've been through, that you have to be, when you exchange emails with people, you have to be very polite, even when whether you accept or whether you reject people, you have to be very polite. And because my stories were rejected many times, so I learned, you know, I would see how editors would reply to me, and what I liked in someone's reply, what I didn't like. So whatever I liked, I tried to incorporate it into the way we reply to people. And along the way, as came A.M. Dassu, and then Lord Alf-Dabs joined, and I think we did okay. And it's very nice now to see these people that we managed to publish, to see them here and to listen to the work. It's beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alex, for sharing that with us. I just wanted to say a few words. Let me just see the time. So just echoing what Alex was saying. So for me, this was the first time being a co-editor for a literary magazine, because I'm actually an academic, as I believe you know, because I send my emails. So I'm associate professor in sociology at the University of Leeds. I do have a lot of interest in the arts, and my research cuts across the social sciences and the humanities. And I've done a lot of research about migrant and refugee artists. So this is very much close to my heart and to my own research interest, but it's very different editing a journal issue for a journal, an academic journal in sociology, and a literary magazine. So for me, it was a learning experience. And I was very touched and moved. And I would like to say this because I think it's important, with Alex's approach to how we reject, because I think academics are quite tough. And he was so kind in how we're going to reject. So we had kind of templates and how to kind of reject something. And we placed a lot of effort in doing that in a way that was human and kind. And for me, it was very moving to see how keen Alex was in doing that, and how different it is from academia, where we've got this set of categories: major revision, reject, accept. So I learned a lot, and we read a lot of pieces. We were inundated with submissions, and it was amazing. And it was difficult because then we had too many good submissions that we could not include. So it was an amazing experience, and it's so nice. I think something we have learned through the pandemic is that we can use digital technologies and Zoom to get together in this way and gather people from across the world with similar experiences. So that's maybe a silver lining from the pandemic. We learn how to do this much better, because maybe we wouldn't do this if we didn't have a pandemic, because it would not be possible that we have here writers from across the world. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you very much all for being with us today. We still have 10 minutes. I know we've been here for a long time with no break, so I don't want to keep us here for longer. But if there is anyone who would like to say something or respond, please do. We still have a few minutes. If not, then I will bring this launch to a close.
Could I make a crazy suggestion? Could we, like those of us who have read or have contributed and the editors, turn on our cameras and have a group screenshot?
Let me see. Yeah, we could do that. Let me see how I do the screenshot. Do you know how to do that, Rubina? You have to print. You just have to. What is the key that we need to print? We could do it if everyone is happy to do that. People do that all the time. I've just never done it.
I think you just press print screen.
Yes, it should be. Do you want to do it yourself? So everyone who feels comfortable, if you want to put your cameras on, we want to have a photo, a print screen, a screenshot of everyone who's here today. Everyone who feels comfortable putting their camera on, obviously.
Just print a screen.
Okay, when you're ready, Rubina.
Bear with me, I'm just arranging everyone with a camera on.
Okay.
Okay. Done.
Have you done it now? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. We were all waiting.
Sorry.
We were all waiting to see if there was. So, would you like us to share that via email? Okay. Oh, that was a great idea, Bänoo. So we will do that. We'll circulate that. I will also make a copy of all the comments, and I'll put them in a Word document and circulate them, because obviously when you're reading or listening, so you may have access to comments that were made when your intervention. So is there anyone else who would like to say something or make a comment or ask a question? No? Okay. So I'll bring this to a close. So wherever you are, I know we all have different traditions, in the UK and in the West to celebrate Christmas. So we are all coming close to a Christmas break, to quite a difficult time, at least in the UK with the pandemic. But I hope you are all keeping safe and well with your families and your loved ones, and see you down the road sometime. So thank you very much for all your efforts, for all your contributions, and for being here tonight. And I know some of you are here from difficult time zones. So thank you. That was amazing to meet you all, and see you on the other side at some point.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank
everyone.
you. Thank you.
Bye.
And
Bye.
thank you, Alex, for being the
Yes.
force behind the magazine, because he is the force behind the magazine.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Bravo, Alex.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Good
Bye.
night.
Bye-bye.